So let's start finally with the organization chart. First of all, this is standard organization chart structure. Usually, this organization chart is not working for a 10 people company. It probably start working when the company is bigger, but those are the best practice. So usually we have the CEO, which is the top of the pyramid, but also the CEO have bosses, and their bosses is the board and the shareholder. Board also is organized under committees, and then you have the CEO reporting line. CEO reporting line can be chief revenue officer, chief product officer, and other. And also the metrics, the organization can be hierarchical, like a tree. For example, under the chief revenue officer, in this example, there is the VP of marketing and the same level as VP of sales. But then we have also an organization matrix. Usually, the good example is chief product officer and technology, where technology handling engineering and product and chief product officer and the product manager and product strategy, etc., etc. There are different way to think about an organization. Um, the CEO reporting line, remember, we have already discussed about the executive and non-executive. Reporting directly to the CEO means in a public company that usually you are an insider. If you don't report to the CEO, maybe you are not. That really depends. And we also have this red team, which is the security team that usually is a report directly to the CEO because need to be completely independent from other teams because the security need to be completely independent. And in some organization chart there is a COO. In other organization chart there are no COO. There is this, joke which is called the CEO is the Queen of England, and what means that is isolated by most of the business, where Chief Operation Officer ideally run all the company and the CEO does other jobs like relationship with the investor and so on and so on. Usually, especially in public companies, CFO always report to the CEO. In this case, the chief executive officer have a personal assistant. You know my opinion about personal assistants. In this example shows an organization chart built around the CEO that loves product. So, for example, in this case, CEO, security, product, and the CFO report to the CEO, but the chief operation officer is in charge of other activities like revenue, legal, HR, and so on and so on. Because the chief executive officer is a product visionary. The opposite, when the CEO is a sales oriented, have a sales oriented mindset, the sales organization report to him like CRO, CLO, CHRO, and CFO. HR in this case can go anywhere. It really depends on the style of the CEO, and the COO handle product. So the COO is a product visionary, but it's not written in the stone that the CEO should stay there. Maybe it's only product person that stay there, reporting directly to the CEO. And then, I really don't see a lot of scenario where a COO is useful. In this case, I designed the matrix where operations like BI data stuff like that report to the COO, but maybe a chief information officer can do the same job. I don't know. Um, there is this metrics, which usually works very well in the product organization, where engineering is horizontal, product is vertical. And then you also have product marketing. Product marketing, in this case, is horizontal, but can stay vertical if it's more a product manager, product marketing relationship. Can stay in the IT team, in the product team. In this case, what happened? Why the product marketing does belong to marketing? In my opinion, and who owns the budget? In my opinion, in this case, product marketing should report or to the CTO or better the CPO. Another way to look at the organization is an organization is not only made for people, but maybe you have a company that owns other companies. and the other companies can be fully owned, can be partially owned, but the absolute majority, minority, that can be relative majority if other shareholders have less than 30% in this case. Or maybe there is you own a very small portion of a company, but it's a defensive strategy. Um, Last part is mistakes to avoid in the organization. First of all, the dotted lines are opportunity to create gray areas. I would avoid unclear reporting lines. um, the second part is that some people works only in certain phases. Maybe in the startup phase scrappy people are incredible, but then are they scalable, are they useful for the $1 billion revenue journey? This is something you need to figure out as soon as possible. When you have a new initiatives, you usually tend to build the full team from scratch. Like, oh, let's hire a product manager, three software architect, one DevOps, one product marketing. In my opinion, building team on paper before the initiative start, it's not the best way. I would prefer start slowly, like let's build an MVP with only two people very quietly. Then let's add one and then another, and then let's add roles that are like product marketing and others. Hiring leader from very big companies when you are not yet there, especially if they are magnitude difference. I mean, if you are a $500 million company, you want to arrive to a billion, hiring a person that comes from a $2 billion company, it's okay. Hiring a person that comes from a $20 billion company, it's not. Especially because usually those people are political animals that really rely strongly to their reporting line. And before hiring people of this kind, you need to understand that if your reporting line is strong or not. That said, if I'm a $200 million company and I want to arrive to 1 billion, I will hire someone that already arrived to 1 billion, not going to hire someone that it's a $10 billion revenue company. Welcome to this coffee break. Two topics in these two clouds that have been shown in the previous slides. First of all, in the organization chart, in one of the organization chart we have seen, you do see that reporting to the CRO, there is an SVP of sales and the VP of marketing. The question is, why don't we have SVP of sales and SVP of marketing? First of all, it's not given for granted that you need to give SVP role to someone that is not necessary yet in the organization, and it's better to have a backup plan where you start with a lower role and give this person the possibility to go up in the organization career ladder instead of promoting immediately to a bigger role. Second, it's a backup plan. If while the organization scale and when you need a boss that will manage different VPs, it's not given for granted that the VP you have hired can become an SVP. So in this case, you can inject in the middle between the chief revenue officer and the VP a new fresh SVP without firing the person that you have hired, given an over expecting role, which was the SVP that you have sandbagged for the future. Second, what are dotted line reportings? Dotted line reportings are, something that are additional to a direct line reporting. Direct line is standard. You have a boss, you report directly to this person. But sometime, let's imagine, for me, the clearest is product marketing. Product marketing in a standard CMO environment report to CMO, but then you need a strict cooperation with the product manager. So usually there is a direct line to the CMO and then a dotted to the product manager. That creates confusion because you don't know who to obey, what if there are contradictory directions, what are the directions you need to align to. And there are other topics that make some clarity, like there is a person that really pushed to get reporting to the CEO for whatever reason, maybe it's a co-founder, and then you give not the reporting to the CEO, but its boss is someone else. And sometimes this person goes and say, "Oh, you are my boss, but the CEO have another opinion and I have adopted, so I'm not aligned with you," and this creates a lot of confusion. This is a thing I've learned in real life, because my bias were in corporate lawyers makes things complicated in the organization. But I had to change my mind, probably because Docebo legal team was the best class legal team, and the best in class. And the legal team really can partner with sales to expedite the contract closing. When you work in large enterprise deals, contracts are negotiated every time. Every single wording of the MSSA is negotiated, and usually the back and forth between lawyers takes time. But if you have a legal team, part of the legal team, because the legal team have a broad scope, there is corporate law, there is labor law, and then there is negotiation and sales. If you have a responsive legal team that really is partnering with the account executive that is closing the contract, you can move the needle of the quarter, just because the contract that would have been closed the next quarter can be moved to this quarter if the legal team does his own job to answer and cooperate with the other legal team as quick as possible. So it's a game changer for sure. The second cloud is Yahoo Alibaba. When you do defensive acquisition, means that you go to invest, not acquire, not having, not ruled in that you need to have a qualified majority in the company or a qualified minority, just a ticket in some incumbent that can be the next leader in your market or in other geographies. And Yahoo in the past have invested in Alibaba, which became the leader in China. And the biggest valuable asset of Yahoo at the end of the Yahoo journey was exactly the stake ownership of Alibaba. That was the most precious asset in Yahoo balance sheet. It's very important. Defensive acquisition sometimes can be a good choice. So I really love the bowling pin model, which say let's start from a small segment, which is in one single geography. This is an example. The two variables, geography and product segment, can change by use case. I don't know, product segment. But let's imagine you have UK small family car, and then you can decide to move to stay in the product segment of small family car but expand in EU, or you stay in UK and you expand in luxury family car. And then the next step can be let's stay in the luxury family car because it's very profitable, for example, expanding in UK. Or we have a huge market quota in UK, we are recognized as a leader, let's leverage the brand and let's move in the people carry